from a professional's point of view, all of this is just a hack job.
What can happen with an unpermitted remodel? The short answer is it can be a disaster. I'm Joseph Patrick. I've been in the remodeling industry for decades, and I've talked to hundreds of clients that have gone through remodels or hired us to do remodels. And in today's video, I want to share a story of where we were able to come in and help a client with his project that had previously been unpermitted, was in disaster state, and take him to a safe home that improved his home's value. This client hired a contractor who was a friend of a friend. He had a great reference on him. He was a really nice, well-intentioned, friendly guy. And he insisted he was going to be pulling permits and pulling an engineer in to do a second story on addition, as well as replacing the entire roof on this home.
What we're doing here is we're essentially doing a structural refit. This house was built in 1905, and then during 2020, they had some guys come out to do a roof, who then suggested that they put an addition on the top of the house to expand the living space. That was never permitted, engineered, or anything. We're in the process of making this thing legal. You can see, come around the side here, the addition on. That's the addition that we're working on beefing up and making nice. If you come inside, part of the issues was just wasn't necessarily sufficiently planned out or engineered. So you can see the 3-inch bow in the joist there in the ceiling. That's partially because this was from 05. Yeah. 115 years ago. So putting weight on top of that caused that to sag, etc. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding beams in here to help support the outer wall of the addition. We're going to be adding more here to help support the midspan. What we're doing in the crawl space right now is all of the weight transfer that we're going to be adding from the beams here. Right. It needs to travel all the way down to the foundation. So we're basically starting from the foundation and working our way up. So we'll be adding stuff along in here, like headers in here, because the weight transfer of the roof needs to be supported over the windows. Necessarily adding a lot, but we'll be making sure that everything's connected in the proper way. Right here. Thinking about it, I'm not 100% sure that was the plan set. It might have just been like a concept drawing, but at the same time, it's just like, come on, man.
As the contractor got started and moved farther along through the process, the homeowner got more and more concerned that maybe the permits weren't getting pulled the way he thought they were. And as he dove into it to inquire, he realized there wasn't actually the engineering done that was needed to be done. Very quickly became evident that this contractor was in over his head. He really didn't know what he was doing, and the resources that he needed to pull in terms of engineering and architecture, he really didn't have. And so at that point, the client realized he needed to fire the contractor and find somebody who could really help him get all the way through. The unfortunate thing is the project was pretty much done at that point. So we basically had to go in and do some investigation to figure out what had been done. And what we found was not awesome. The problem was, in order to fix all of this, it was going to be really invasive. We were going to have to redo most of the work, and it was going to be very expensive.
We took out a beam here and added a engineered glue lam beam. We built out downstairs to give a solid foundation and everything like that. We ended up adding hardware where there wasn't hardware to make sure that the joists had solid connection to the ledger board up there. We added a whole bunch of hardware to make sure that the walls and ceiling and roof all function together as a unit. Over in here, the darker joists were all the original joists, and so they were about 3 feet on center, and this was the ceiling. So we braced that up. We turned this into a shear wall so that this area through here as well is also just connected and braced to everything. And then upstairs, I'll show you what we're working on today as well. We pulled out the stairs that were here and we built a new one. It took us 4 hours to pull the steps out because they were not to code. We're adding more blocking, we're adding more hardware. The problem that I ran into last week, the venting for the roof is basically non-existent. The insulation fills the roof cavity completely, so there's no actual airflow. That means that as we've gone along and pulled stuff down, like in here, mold is starting to grow because we do not have enough insulation depth to prevent condensation from happening on the underside of the roof sheathing.
So we started this project with a very unsafe house that had compromised floor joists, missing beams, and was not a safe environment for this family. But in the course of several months for permitting and about a month and a half for construction, we're able to take them to a safe home with a safe addition. So how do you avoid getting in this kind of situation, whether you're looking at a home to purchase or looking at a contractor to hire to do work on your home? Well, if you're looking at a home to purchase, one of the first things that you should do is determine if there's any structural work been done on the home in the past several decades, and then have there been proper building permits pulled for that. So that structural work looks like wall removals, it looks like additions, it looks like beams, and if you don't know how to spot work that's done maybe in the past couple of decades, you can lean on your realtor or a trusted contractor that you could bring in. Most contractors like me that have been working on homes for decades can spot almost eras or even shorter gaps of years that work has been done. You want to make sure permits match that, so it was inspected properly by a building inspector at that time. That will knock out most structural concerns. Another thing that I encourage our clients and my friends as they're looking at homes, and especially homes that were flipped or remodeled, look very critically at the finish work that's done. Because in my experience, somebody that's pretty sloppy in the finish work or sloppy in the electrical work, that is probably indicative that they were sloppy in all the work. Now, if you're looking to hire a contractor to work on your home, most people do what this client did, which was ask people for references and referrals, maybe check reviews, check the CCB website. In my experience talking to hundreds of clients, that's often not enough. What I find really important is for you to look at his past work. Every contractor with smartphones like they are today should have many photos of work they're proud of that is very similar to your project. If they don't, they might be operating outside their area of expertise, and it's going to be more risky hiring them. The next thing you want to inspect is you want to inspect their drawings and their process. You want to make sure their drawings communicate clearly everything you need to know about the project. If you don't know what to look for, check the link below. I'll send you an article in another video. And then you want to look at their process. Is their process well organized? Is it documented? Do you understand it? Because in my experience, if somebody's drawings are sloppy and their process is sloppy, the entire building process is going to be sloppy, and the product, your home remodel, is probably going to be sloppy as well. For more remodeling information or other stories and success stories about clients that have gone through remodeling experiences, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe here, and visit the website as well.